Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to the annual conference of the Social Sciences Universities Network, a network consisting of 15 member institutions, and that was founded by Renmin University of China and Louis University in Rome. And this year's conference theme is social sciences and data science. And we at FGV are very honored to host it. I am Juliana Marques, Head of Research at FGV School of Social Sciences. And for this opening session, we have this panel with Professor Du Peng, Vice President of Renmin University of China, Professor Rafael Marchetti, Deputy Rector for Internationalization of Louis University, and Professor Celso Castro, Dean from FGV School of Social Sciences. And now, Professor Celso Castro, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Good evening. It's a great pleasure, to on behalf of FGV, not only the Social Sciences School. I'm Dean of the Social Sciences School, but on behalf of the whole FGV, to welcome you to our headquarters in Rio. We also are present in São Paulo and Brasilia. FGV, as you may know, is a non-profit private institution. It was created in 1944, so more than 70 years ago, almost 80 years ago, actually, to work mainly on the social sciences, broadly speaking, especially the applied social sciences. And we're very pleased to promote this meeting here. Our network was inaugurated, as Juliana said, in a meeting in Rome, at Louis University, November 2019, just before the spread of the pandemic of COVID-19. After that, we had a remote conference hosted by our colleagues from China, the Renmin University of China, and now in Rio we'll have the first presential conference after a long time, a long and difficult time for everybody, I'm sure, in every country here represented. Well, in addition to welcoming you, I could not fail to thank our small team that supported the whole preparation of this conference. We have our graduate students, Raquel and Nina, or someplace here. Raquel and Nina, she's outside, but especially my colleague, Juliana Marques, which is research coordinator at our School of Social Sciences, with which undoubtedly many of you have already interacted by email or WhatsApp or other means of communication. So we have represented here today several institutions that share the objective of promoting academic and the institutional cooperation in the social sciences field. This is the aim of this network. Some institutions, unfortunately, could not be present here, but we are also pleased to welcome new members, such as our colleagues from the University of Macau, who joined this network and are here present as well. So we have 3 days of intense and fruitful, I hope, exchange of experiences, and also have the opportunity to discuss the paths that our network can follow from now on. But okay, I hope everybody here enjoys our conference and the next few days also in our city, and have some time also to make some tourism in the beautiful city of Rio de Janeiro. So be welcome, and if you need some advice, no help from us, just ask us. But thank you everybody for coming. It's a pleasure to be your host here. Thank you.
Now I'll hand over the mic for Professor Dupeng.
Distinguished Professor Celso Castro, Professor Rafael Macadi, dear colleagues, good evening, and warm greetings to you all. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to FGV for the invitation and wonderful organization of the annual conference of Social Sciences Universities Network. It is my great pleasure to be here with all of you. This is Renmin University's first official delegation after the 3 years pandemic and the very first offline meeting of SSUN since COVID-19. So we have every year we have the online meeting, but it's first offline for the annual conference. So that makes this event even more significant. It marks a new milestone for us to reconnect and engage with the global academic community. I'm very excited and honored to celebrate this momentous occasion with you. Today's conference offers us a great opportunity to share diverse perspectives and insights on pressing issues and collaborate towards a better future. As a united community of higher education institutions, it falls in science mission to lead by example and work towards creating a more inclusive and sustainable world. Looking back, SSUN has achieved fruitful results despite the difficulties brought by the pandemic. We've made great progress in the network's governance and organization, adopted the charter, and welcomed a new friend, the University of Macau, to join us, bringing our number to 15. Additionally, the SSUN promotes academic conversation by holding annual conferences around frontiers topics. Last year, the SSUN annual event and the Global Higher Education Leaders Forum has held at Renmin University with the theme which is combined online and offline format, with the theme Networks for Globalization, the Future of Higher Education. In 2021, the SSUN annual event explored topics including Olympic cultures sharing and education, and the Olympic vision and future. In 2020, the SSUN annual conference was held online with 4 sessions centered around artificial intelligence plus. These initiatives reflect the SSUN's commitment to advancing academic exchange and fostering global collaboration to address the most challenging issues facing our world today. Through SSUN's platform, we also advanced in talent cultivation collaboration, such as ACE Triple Bachelor Program between RUC, Renmin University, Louis, and George Washington University in the United States. These achievements would not have been possible without everyone's collective efforts. I would like to express my gratitude to all of you, especially Louis, who initiated the network together with Renmin. The significance of this year's conference is highlighted by its theme, Social Sciences and Data Science, promoting interactions between data science and the humanities and the social sciences. Social sciences is a pressing need. Human society is facing unprecedentedly global shifts affecting every aspect of our lives. Some of the major challenges, such as public health crisis, climate change, technological advancements, and the socio-economic shifts, are creating new challenges that require a cross-disciplinary approach to solve. On this basis, the integration of data science and the humanities and the social sciences is more necessary than ever. Data science provides us with powerful tools to collect, analyze, and interpret a large amount of data, but they cannot tell us how to fully address the issues we face, or how to ensure that the benefits of technological progress are shared by all. These questions require a deep understanding of human values and ethics, which can only be provided by humanities and social sciences. Meanwhile, humanities and social sciences require the powerful and effective methods provided by data science. The integration of data science and humanities and social sciences is essential to address the complex challenges we face and ensure a better future for all. It is our collective responsibility to work together across disciplines and borders to find solutions that promote sustainability and justice. In this regard, Renmin University of China has always been leveraging our academic strengths in humanities and social sciences and combined it with data science to provide new energy for the development of traditional disciplines. Statistics, information resource management, and artificial intelligence, these three schools of Renmin University rank top nationwide or worldwide. In recent years, we have established the School of Artificial Intelligence based on our School of Mathematics and also School of Law to develop the technology as well as the legal issues, how to protect the rights of the drivers and the users of this new technology. And we have the School of Artificial Intelligence and the School of Interdisciplinary Studies, and set up innovative degree programs, including fintech, digital economy, digital humanity, and data computation and application to explore new mechanisms for interdisciplinary talent training. The university's focus on interdisciplinary research and talent training, providing a wealth of opportunities for students and faculties to explore new frontiers in big data, AI, and data science, and make contribution to social development and state governance. By breaking borders and building platforms, SSUN has a critical role to play in promoting interdisciplinary research, fostering collaboration across institutions, and promoting innovative solutions to the complex challenges facing the globe. With the determination and the focus of our mission, I am confident that the SSUN will make a meaningful impact on society and continue to be a leader in advancing the development of humanities and the social sciences with innovative approaches. RUC is enthusiastic about the growth of our network. In order to achieve this goal, we are more than committed to exploring new initiatives with you. In China, this month, we are still celebrating the New Year. It's rapid in 2023. This year marks a turning point as we gradually move beyond the pandemic. It also represents a new starting point of the SSUN. As we move forward, let us embrace the spirit, maybe the rabbit, harness its vitality, and work together to contribute to building a community with a shared future for mankind. Thank you again for having me here. I cannot wait to hear and learn from you and the provoking insights that will be shared in the upcoming roundtables. Wish the conference a great success. Thank you.
Now I'd like to welcome Professor Raffaele Marchetti from LUIS.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a great joy to be reunited all together after difficult years. For me, really, it's a great happiness to be all together once again. And of course, this is thanks to FGV that hosts us here, Dean Celso Castro and all the team here. You have been very generously offering to host this meeting, and we are very grateful to you. Also very grateful to Stellenbosch, because in fact at the beginning we received two offers to host the meeting. But then a decision was taken for FGV, and well, I hope in the future we will be hosted by Stellenbosch as well. From my side, well, I think that the general understanding of the network was very aptly presented by my colleague, Professor Dupeng. The idea of this network was twofold, at least from my perspective. Was on the one hand to create a network that for once focused on social sciences. All the universities represented here, and of course I want to thank all the delegations from the different universities, including our new member from Macau, share an important focus, if not exclusive focus, as for LUIS, on social sciences. We think social sciences are an important component of teaching and research in universities, a component that needs not to self-enclose itself. I mean, it needs to talk with other disciplines, and in fact, the choice of the topic of this conference, I think it's very illustrative of this attitude of cross boundaries and engagement with other disciplines, finding the synergies, the overlapping fields. But despite this open attitude, we thought that it was needed a renewed focus on social sciences, because the challenges that we have to face, that we face today, are so important that a significant inputs from our sciences is important. But these inputs can only be achieved through a truly global dialogue. And this is in fact the second important characteristic of this network. Here we have universities from all continents, from Americas, from Europe, from Africa, from Asia. This is very important. This is in fact a very special asset, I would say a treasure that we need to preserve very carefully. This network was created a few years ago in a world that was very different, in a world that was not hit by pandemic, also in a world that not entered into a clash, a political clash, with the war in Ukraine. Now all these events contributed to an increasing compartmentalization of the world, in which boundaries are becoming higher and higher and more insurmountable. And this is something, of course, very worrying and something that I personally don't like. So this network, bringing around the table all the universities in a good, genuinely inclusive global dialogue, it is something very important. Of course, when we created a few years ago, we didn't figure out, how the world would have evolved in such a dramatic way. But now we have this, fortunately, we have this network. So I think it is really up to us to preserve it and to make the most of it. Because of course networks like this, opportunities like this, of a genuine dialogue with all components, all universities from all the world, are less and less common. So it is really important that we put a great effort in taking care of that, in developing it further. For the moment, most of the activities have been really on research. We had some preliminary discussion. We will have a discussion in the steering committee tomorrow. I hope we can increase the scope of the activities, also including some teaching, a joint collaboration for teaching activities. This would be also important to make a more rounded, more comprehensive endeavor carried out by the network. So this is really my message. I'm grateful for FGV. I'm happy to be together again, and I'm passionate about keeping this network as lively as possible. In fact, even more than it has been in these 3 years. I think if we manage to survive COVID, I think if SSUN managed to survive COVID, there is a bright future ahead, and it will be really up to us to keep it faithful to its promises and to make it really an important instrument of research, teaching, and dialogue globally. Thank you very much.
Okay. So before I present you to our keynote speaker this evening, I would like to add that it was indeed very satisfying to put together this agenda with so many interesting and high-quality scholars from 8 different institutions in 6 countries, as Raffaele just said, in different continents, and always with the goal in mind of keeping it very diverse and inclusive in the ways that data science and social sciences are brought together. And having said that, working across disciplines is indeed very powerful. I myself am a doctor in sociology who has grown increasingly interested in following the work of our keynote speaker tonight, Professor Flávio Codesso Coelho, whom I invite to come to the stage to join the panel. Professor Flávio's background is in biology, biomedical engineering, and epidemiology, mathematical epidemiology. And to be more precise, he holds a PhD in quantitative biology from the University of Texas at Arlington. And he's an associate professor at FGV School of Applied Mathematics. And I must add, also a fantastic contributor in different initiatives taking place or that took place in the School of Social Sciences where I work. So over the past 20 years, Professor Flávio has developed an active research agenda bridging fields such as computer science, epidemiology, and the digital humanities. So I'll stop here, and I'll invite you to come or to speak where you are, wherever you feel more comfortable. Thank you for inviting our invitation to come to this evening.
Well, I'm very happy to be here. I'd like to thank the organizers of the event, and it's a great honor and a pleasure to be part of this very important meeting of so many institutions and from many countries, as has already been said multiple times. And for me personally, it's a big pleasure because I've been working with the School of Social Sciences, even not being from there, but of a neighboring department here, the neighboring school, and it's a great pleasure to see how mature is this field of what we might call the digital humanities, and how it has grown to be what it is today, and to be able to look at the program of this conference is really brings me great happiness. So this evening I would like to touch on some things that are technical, but that are not necessarily immediately applied, as we have the theme of the conference being this merge, if I may use the word, of the social sciences and data science, two different disciplines of thinking, of ways of working with data. I would like to focus my presentation on some issues that have already started to emerge as these two fields of thought connect. And some of the things that I'm going to say are going to be intentionally a little bit provocative, but I think that it's only out of my excitement of what the road ahead has in stock for us. So without further delay, I'd like to start by considering this encounter between social sciences and digital technologies, if we may think a little broader than just data science. And when we think about this coming together, one thing that immediately comes to my mind is there is some sort of a cognitive asymmetry when we think about the two different points of view from the two different camps about what this encounter means. If we start from the digital humanities or social sciences in general point of view, the typical look, at least if we may say so, historically speaking, because the history of this two fields is so short, but we can already say that because in this field the history is changed so fast. But historically, the look has been thinking about digital technology both either as a tool with which to work with, or as an object of study. Well, just another social phenomenon. Digital technologies, the way people use technology, the way people get together or come together through technology, could be just another object of study for the social sciences. But in fact, when we think about this phenomenon, we see that, first of all, it's growing quite rapidly. Even though this marriage between these fields, or this common interest, or the digital technologies as an object of study for social sciences has started quite a while ago, it's only very recently that we have this what we call digital humanities being a really quickly growing trend. And one of the motivations that brought us to this point was the sense of opportunity from the point of view of the social sciences academic community of, there seems to be really a true El Dorado, a new frontier of information waiting for us to, if we only get more adept at using these technologies to scale up our ability to deal with this growing repository of born digital information. So there is this more purely academic motivation. But if we look at what might have been or might have emerged from the camp of digital technologies, and I stress here that it's not from computer science research, but from digital technologies as a social phenomenon, is quite different. If we can be a little bit provocative, we could say that digital technology appears to be set on an ambitious goals of mastering and dominating social interaction. In fact, it seems to be like the tail wagging the dog. We as human researchers, we've developed such a powerful technology that it begins to affect the way that we interact, the way that we look at data, the way that we represent knowledge. And this thing is really the tail wagging the dog. And while in a prior view, we used to think of digital technologies as some kind of information superhighway through which information passes and increases our access to information. This description is no longer accurate because these technologies, if we think of a superhighway, these technologies are far from passive and neutral. When you think of a highway, it's just a passive object, right, where you drive over it. But this thing that we have in hands right now, that we interact with, is far from passive, and it's not neutral. And we were talking about an infrastructure, nevertheless, but an infrastructure that's able to transform the information as it flows through it, and with no previous warning to the communicating agents. So when we throw information within this infrastructure, it may come out on the other side or then the multiple other sides somewhat transformed, and we don't have much control over it. So I would say that we are at this point, no matter the fact that we are quite optimistic of where this research path will lead, we are still struggling to try to understand how to properly manage and communicate in this new brave new world. Can we say that? So what I come to after considering this is what I call an inevitable merge. We can no longer hold back on this fusion. And we can call this the birth or the maturation of a digital society. And when we think about this new digital society, one of the key concepts that comes to mind is social networks. Social networks are absolutely not new in sociology, but it has been transformed in this process. While before we used the concept of social networks as a tool to understand the connectivity between people, how information percolates through smaller communities and then making long leaps to faraway communities, and then we had this small world kind of thing. And now it's no longer like that. Now we have a situation where the social networks are no longer an emerging thing. They are actually the infrastructure, and they are actually the medium for most, if not all, interactions between people. And to make it even more challenging is at a global scale. So how do you study something that is also your own instrument of observation? Well, maybe linguists will teach us a thing or two about that. But what we find ourselves in is actually that we are been surrounded by this new technology. So we can say that, or this technology has swallowed the world. So with this domination, with this total penetration of digital technologies within the social organizations, and this move from local to global in such a powerful and fast way, we are thrown into another emerging issue that I think it's quite difficult and challenging, which is a scaling issue. Because when we increase this connectivity by several orders of magnitude, that's what this new form of connectivity brings us. We stress all our existing regulatory structures and social behavior. This globalization, and here globalization, many quotes, nothing to do with political or economical globalization, but the globalization of information it represents an overload not only on communities but also on the individual. And this effect on the individual is quite important, because this overflow, this increase in connectivity first, before we talk about the overflow, it happens by the breakage of geographical and even language barriers. Before, if you had to meet somebody in the real world and connect and build a social connection, you had at least to share some common language. Nowadays, it's no longer necessary. We have automated translation in the digital communication infrastructure that makes that no longer relevant. So we no longer control who receives our information. We no longer know who receives our information. And also, beside this multiplicity, we also have a scaling up of intensity of flow. And if we can borrow a concept from physics, we have communities and societies undergoing a sort of a phase transition, where before we were discrete creatures on somewhat localized communities that might communicate every once in a while. Now we are fully connected, and we can better describe this new form of interaction as more of a fluid. So we moved from some sort of a sand-like structure to a fluid, and in this phase transition carries with it a profound change in the potential dynamics that can happen in such a complex system. We live now in a sort of we can use this metaphor, like an ocean of people and ideas. And as like an ocean, we can also experience some unexpected fluid-like phenomena, such as what we could call some social tsunamis. And like a tsunami, which grows hidden in the depths of the ocean only to break as a big wave when it comes to the surface, certain social tsunamis may also grow silently in the depths of the internet, and then surprise us as eruptive social behaviors. I think we can all think of an example of two. I'm not going to waste our time to try to list examples. But the fact is, this sort of new dynamics that we have in this hyper-connected world has become a profound challenge for the well-established mechanisms that society has for self-regulation, be it forms of government, forms of opinion polling. You can think of established mechanisms. All of them are at the breakage point at this point. So, as we dive a little bit deeper into that, this information overlook at the level of the individual is also very powerful, because this high flow of information uptake that we are all subjective nowadays, it makes it very hard for us to be able to critically select what to pay attention and what to even believe. So we are being forced to adapt what I'm trying to call here some form of statistical truth. We no longer keep the information that has the most support most of the time, especially if we're not being a critical thinker at a particular point. We tend to retain the information that hits us the most frequently. And that's very dangerous, because it's exactly not the way that we as academics would like information to spread, because we would like information that is verified and accurate and whatnot to be the one that people pay attention to. And that's more and more being not the case. So if we think about the mechanisms of how this happens, this brings us to another, one of the, what I think the building block of this whole revolution, which is text itself. I would say that text is the main battleground for what we could call an epistemic war, because text has occupied a central role in not only digital humanities, but all sorts of scientific research. In fact, in digital humanities, one of the first applications of digital technologies was in the quantitative analysis of text and corpora. So it's something that is at the core of the what we call data science within the social sciences. But as the field grew, this usage of natural language computational tools has grown and grown, not only in scale, but in sophistication, to the point where we can talk about now of tools of natural language understanding. And that has the potential to usher new things that are, I would say, up to maybe a couple of years ago, a bit unexpected. So, I think you know where I'm getting at, and we are at the point where this analytical tools have been known now as we call artificial intelligence. So we have artificial intelligence being one of the forms of artificial intelligence growing fast is the one that has to do with text, and the elephant in the room is ChatGPT, the large language models, as they are called generically. And we are at this point that where this technology is talking back to us. We used to create them so that we could get information, but now they are dictating information to us. And so even if we deny such large language model the status of general intelligence, they are forcing us to rethink our concept of intelligence, and mainly how we differentiate, based on behavior, artificial from natural intelligence, natural being our own. So, and given that the traditional way for all sciences to communicate and represent knowledge is through text, has been and still is, text is, and in many disciplines, text is itself one of the core tools for theory building. We need to be very wary about when you have artificial intelligence producing text that is very hard to differentiate, to distinguish from naturally written or naturally authored, we should say, texts. And if we think in a typical way that we academics interact with text, so when we take a scientific text or a scientific report, for instance, to study or to criticize, to review it, we always start from the premise, we don't even think about it, that we are in a dialogue with other humans, what we could call epistemic agents. The authors that supposedly crafted the text did it by their accumulated scientific knowledge, their individual opinions, their available evidence, etc. And we assume that scientific text, that we are reading any scientific text, is the representation of the epistemological process of one or more authors about a specific scientific question. But when large language model can produce texts that are very hard to distinguish stylistically from human text, we know for sure that LLM, large language model generated texts, are not the result of an epistemological process, being instead the result of a very sophisticated statistical model. So we're back to the idea of statistical truths. What large language models spit back at us is just a rehash of the text that they've been exposed to. And that's very dangerous if we can't tell them apart. So, not to be completely dark, large language models are undeniably useful. It's very nice to be able to converse with the computer and say, oh, please give me a recipe for spicy mushrooms with salmon that I want to make it a new one. I don't want to do something that somebody else has already. And ChatGPT will come up with something. Will it be good? I don't know. But it's certainly convenient to have that. So these models will find their usability. It's obvious that 99% of the global population thinks they are useful. Only us are scared about them. But so while they're useful, I try to compile a few questions here, actually 4 questions that I think we should ponder on. First one is, should we really be interested, instead of getting a recipe, in the worldview of an algorithm? I've already touched on that, but I said that what they do is just rehash information. So I would say no. The second question is, what does this remarkable ability of mimicking human text say about our own intelligence? What biases and mass opinion, well, that's a third. So a little bit back. So that idea of what does it mean if I can't tell who wrote that, what can I tell about the intelligence? You know, it's an open question. It's going to be the fuel of much discussion going forward. And the third question is, what biases and mass opinion engineering tools can be hiding or could be embedded in such technologies? We don't know. We assume that, well, it's new, it's probably not there yet, but it's so possible that we should worry about it. And lastly, when we conduct research on large corpora of digital text, that's more practical. How can we tell apart machine-generated text from human-authored text? And what kind of biases can this infiltration or contamination have on our own research process? Especially when we are now, equipped to analyze large volumes of text. We need to be able to understand that. So to finalize this somewhat, provocative talk, I'd like to touch on one last point, which I call probably a little bit dramatically of the question of epistemic hegemony. Because large language models are an incredibly expensive technology. So to give you a few figures, ChatGPT with more than 175 billion parameters, these parameters totaling approximately 800 gigabytes of text data, is extremely expensive, not only to store, but to run. And it took, according to the estimates that I got, 570 gigabytes of text documents to produce those 800 gigabytes of parameters. So, as is quite common in machine learning models, it has more parameters than data. It's something to ponder at another time. But the point is that with such a large model, estimates again say that just to run this model, not to develop or to update it or to retrain it, just to run this model would cost, based on current prices of cloud infrastructure, cloud computing infrastructure, would cost approximately $100,000 per day, just to run. But given the huge success of such models, this cost is nothing, it's peanuts, because any simple business model based on the success of this platform would easily pay for that. But in fact, it's interesting for us to reflect that ChatGPT has grown in user adoption faster than any known digital platform so far, including TikTok and Instagram. It amassed 100 million active users in just 2 months, and it's probably way beyond that now. So regardless of the epistemological value of such models, and having seen their power to, I don't know, to attract and marvel people, the global players, and I mean, there will be only a few players who could pay those prices to run such models, that have control over such models, can easily pose a serious, if not existential, threat to competing worldviews, including evidence-based scientific ones. Science doesn't stand a chance. And when you have to justify what you say, when you have to prove something before you can actually write something down, you can never compete with something that can be assertive even when false. So, so to conclude, you know, we have just stumbled on a new and terrifying new meaning for the concept of algorithmic bias. So we as digital humanists are at a Frankensteinian point in history where our object of study is opening its digital eyes and is taking a frighteningly gaze back at us. Thank you.
Thank you all for the inspiring, provocative words. Before we have time for a couple of questions or comments, and then we can head to the welcome cocktail and of course continue this conversation over foods and drinks. But before I open the mic for you, I would like to share some logistical notes. So bear with me, it's going to be quick. Tomorrow's activities will start at 9 a.m., so we kindly ask you to arrive a little bit earlier than that. And they won't be here. They will be at FGV's Cultural Center, which is this very nice white curved building right next door. Yeah, the entrance is the same. It's the same one you used today. You can use that tomorrow. Go up the escalator. On your right, you will see a little bridge that connects both buildings. And tomorrow we have roundtables, flash presentations, and the conference dinner. And on the 1st of March, we will be back here on this floor, and activities will take place here. You've received the printed agenda and other materials. If you have any doubts, please reach out to me or to my colleagues, Raquel and Nina, who I think, yeah, are over there. Thank you, Raquel and Nina, for the help. Yeah, I guess this is it. So now you've had some time to think of questions or comments. If you would like to open this conversation right now. Everyone's still terrified with the ChatGPT looking back. Very good. So I guess we can. Yeah, we can then head. The cocktail is waiting for us outside this room. So, thank you very much.